The entire world is looking with great despair at the crisis in Afghanistan. The chaos and violence at Kabul's airport have shocked the whole of humanity. Taliban forces have rapidly taken control of virtually all of Afghanistan following the United States military withdrawal. Though the decision of the United States to withdraw its troops got the timing wrong, it is the spineless Afghan National Defense and Security Forces that failed to protect the ruling regime. Throughout the history of Afghanistan, the Afghans have lived through foreign invasions, civil war, and several insurgencies. The first ever known successful invasion of Afghanistan happened in 400 BCE when parts of the land which belonged to modern Afghanistan fell to the Achaemenid Empire during Darius I of Persia. Then at around 330 BCE, Greek Emperor Alexander the Great successfully invaded Afghanistan during his war against Persia. Apart from the two major invasions, Afghanistan has overcome all its instabilities over many centuries. In the modern era, the Central Asian country of Afghanistan has been the graveyard for all the superpowers. It has given a nightmare to all the nations that tried to control it. First, it was the mighty British during the 1839–1842 war in Afghanistan, then the Russians in the 1980s, and now the United States and its allies. The power, greed, and dirty politics of a few people have devastated the lives of innocent people of Afghanistan. The changing stance of ethnic groups has been vital in Afghan politics. Few political commentators say that there are around 52 ethnic groups. The Russian research scholars who closely follow Afghanistan politics predict that there are around 200 ethnic groups, of which the Pathans, Yusufzai, Afridi, Gadak, Daduki, Bilgi, Tajik, and Husara are the major ethnic groups that change the political pendulum of Afghanistan. The strategic location of Afghanistan has been the most vital factor for the struggle of mighty nations against Afghan militant groups. The entire stretch of Afghanistan is predominantly mountainous and one of the roughest terrains in the world. Surrounded by plateaus and river basins, the Hindu Kush mountain ranges run through the center and south of the country. The western extension of the Himalayas stretches to eastern Tibet through the Pamir Highlands, where the Hindu Kush, Pamir, Tian Shan, Kunlun, and the Himalayas all meet are situated in Badakhshan in northeast Afghanistan, making it a safe haven for national and international terrorists. During the peak of Cold War, the then Soviet Union took advantage of unrest in Afghanistan after 1978 coup by invading it to set up a pro-Soviet government. The Afghan Communist government allowed the Soviet troops to suppress the anti-communist Mujahideen fighters, which escalated the conflict and made millions of Afghans to flee to neighboring Pakistan as refugees. At the same time, in the shadow of Cold War, the United States supported Mujahideen fighters by supplying them Stinger anti-aircraft missiles and other essential weapons against the Soviet military. Even President Ronald Reagan openly welcomed Afghan fighters to the White House in 1983 and met Mujahideen leader Yunus Khalis at his Oval Office in 1987. In this political background, the Soviet Union achieved nothing by getting into Afghan war. When its withdrawal was completed on February 15, 1989. Rather, it lost 15,000 Soviet men and the cost estimated to around $200 billion in the span of around 9 years. Soon after the withdrawal of Soviet troops, Najibullah's pro-Soviet government collapsed and made Najibullah to take refuge at Kabul United Nations compound, only to be killed and hanged at a lamppost by the Taliban on September 26, 1996. Only during this time, Saudi-born al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden lands in Afghanistan after being expelled from Sudan. With a background of supporting Afghan Mujahideen forces against Soviet Union, Osama easily collaborates with Taliban Supreme Leader, Mullah Muhammad Omar. In this course of time, Afghanistan became a center for terrorist groups, and the outcome was the al-Qaeda's 9/11 attacks on U.S. Trade Center. The entire scenario changed around the world, and in particular, United States demanded the Taliban to hand over Osama, to which the Taliban refused. Subsequently, NATO invoked its Collective Defense Clause, Article 5, for the first and only time in response to the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001 on the United States. 1. A U.S.-led coalition launched Operation Enduring Freedom, targeting the Taliban and Al-Qaeda with military airstrikes. This war, which began in 2001, is said to be the longest war fought by the United States. Unlike the Soviet Union, the U.S. at least managed to break Al-Qaeda's back by killing Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of 9/11 attacks. Apart from that, this 20-year-old war left around 2,500 Americans dead and nearly 20,000 got wounded. The U.S. lost over $1 trillion, but for what? The Taliban has now returned to power.